Hello and welcome to another In Stitches toy sewing machine video. I'm on a roll with toy sewing machines at the moment. You may have seen this machine in the recent auction video that I did. So this is the Vulcan, made in England. Senior is the model number, child sewing machine. And I've got half of the box here, that's as it came. So you can see the box has seen better days, and well, I assume the lid's missing. I'm not quite sure how it would have come originally. But this is a very nice machine. It's, you know, aesthetically very pleasing. It's not in the best of conditions, but it's not too bad. It's got the machine with the little table clamp there. But you can see that it's a little bit dirty and a little bit rusty there, so you know, it's, as I say, it's not in the best of conditions. I do hope to get this machine up and running today, but there is a problem here. You can see the tensioner there. There's some parts missing actually on that tensioner, so it's missing one of the discs and the little tension knob, the screw knob there. So I'm going to try to find some bits that will fix that up and give it a little bit of a clean up. I mean, I can't really do too much about the paint work, and we'll thread it up and see if it works, eh? But let's have a wee look around the machine. I mean, that's quite neat in itself, isn't it? A little flatbed attachment that just slides on there. He says as he's trying to slide it. Just slides on like so. Just like a grown-up's machine, isn't it? And it's you know, it's got a reasonable amount of heft to it. It's a die cast, I think. Looking at that, I would say it's made of aluminium. That's steel there, I would say. This is steel, but I think this might be aluminium. You know, it's made in England, so very well made. Everything seems to be in working order. Needle bar and the feed mechanism is working there. It appears to be anyway, but the proof will be in the pudding once I thread it up and see if we can sew with it. But first of all, let's see if we can sort this thread tension issue out here, these tensioner parts here. I'll just go and have a quick look through my stash of bits and pieces and see if I can come up with anything to use here on the tensioner. Okay, I found a tension disc off another machine, just a little tensioner disc there, little one off a toy machine again. And I found a nut that fits, funnily enough, you know, that's a metric nut. I didn't expect that to actually fit on here, but it is perfect. It's a perfect size for the tensioner, perfect thread pitch and everything. So that's the original disc there. Put that one on, and then we'll put the substituted disc on there with the spring, and then put the nut on for the tensioner, and that'll give us some adjustment there. Okay, now there were no instructions or any sort of diagram as far as you know, threading the machine or using the machine, but should be fairly straightforward. I'm just going to dust it down really. I'm not going to use any cleaning product on it at this stage. Maybe just a little bit of sewing machine oil on this metal surface here. Let's see if we can, you know, just get that to look a little bit better. Let's put a little bit of oil on there. Give that a wipe down. Oh, it's coming up not too bad there. It's a bit shinier than what it was. just a general, yeah, see, it was pretty grubby. It's been sitting, I would say. Just get some more oil on there. And just give it a little, just want to be careful with the paint work. Don't want to be taking any of the paint off there. It's a nice looking machine. Out of the 3 that I've done so far, you know, the little plastic faff and the little plastic faff was actually quite a nice looking machine. You know, and the Singer was pretty neat as well, but I really like the look of this. It's got more of a sort of solid, real type sewing machine feel about it, or look about it. Yeah. And yeah, just a note on the faff machine. You know, I've just had a couple of comments on, you know, talking about how it's plasticky, and you know, didn't think that faff would stoop to that sort of level of, you know, plastic sewing machine manufacture. But I mean, it was just a toy. It wasn't made by faff. You know, it was made, you know, with the faff name, but it certainly wasn't made by faff. It was made in Hong Kong by a toy company. You know, and that's just a sign of the times, really. That sort of 70s plasticky sort of thing. You know, and those comments sort of came after I'd released the Singer video, the Model 20 Singer video. And if you've seen that Model 20 video, you would have noticed that it was all metal, that Singer machine. Likewise with this is all metal. There are no plastic parts whatsoever in this machine. But yeah, I don't think we can be too hard on the little faff machine, you know, being plastic and all. Just giving this a little bit of a clean up here, bit of oil, see if we can shine it up. It's starting to look better already. Could probably clean that up a little bit better, but it's not looking too bad there. Now, just a little hint, if you ever come across a sewing machine and you're not sure what direction the hand wheel turns, you can figure that out by looking at the feed dogs. So what you have to do on a normal machine anyway is you would set your stitch length dial to a forward stitch, make sure it's not in reverse, and then turn the hand wheel. And what you should see is the feed dogs dropping down under the plate like that and coming towards the front of the machine and rising up and feeding. As the feed dogs are above the plate, they will travel towards the rear of the machine and then drop back down and come forward again whilst under the plate. And that tells you that you're turning the machine in the correct operating direction. Funnily enough, on this machine, no matter what way you turn it, it appears to be working in operating direction. So I wonder, is it clever enough that you can turn it either direction? That would be neat. On a normal sewing machine, if you turn the hand wheel in the wrong direction, you'll see the feed dogs coming towards you. I'll show you that. I've got this Elna machine here to demonstrate this, but it's funny that the first time I actually mention, you know, how to identify the operating direction of the machine, this one works in both directions, so yeah, it wasn't a very good choice of machine to show this. But anyway, here we have an Elna. This is the Supermatic, and you need to make sure when you're testing this that you know, generally unthread the needle, make sure the stitch length is on the forward operation there, not the reverse. That's the reverse here, so forward. And I mean, the manual will tell you what the operating direction of the hand wheel is. Generally on a sewing machine it's always anti-clockwise if you're looking at the hand wheel like that. but quite often on an overlocker, especially industrial overlockers, it's the opposite direction. So on a machine like this here, we're looking at it from the front here. We've got the stitch length on the longest stitch, and it's on the forward stitch, and you turn the machine, and if you see the feed dogs going down under the plate and coming towards you, and then rising up at the front of the machine and travelling while the teeth are above the plate towards the rear of the machine, that's the feed direction, and that tells you that you're turning the machine in the correct direction. If you're turning it in the wrong direction, you'll see the feed dogs will go down under the plate and come up at the back and feed towards you, which, you know, is a good indication that you're turning the machine in the wrong direction. So that's a nice easy way of telling. Now apparently these machines take a standard sewing machine needle, that's a 15x1, and I'm not 100% convinced that the screw here is original. It doesn't seem to sort of tie in it with it being a brass screw. But that's the standard needle there. I'd like to get a new one in there. Standard universal here. And I had a look underneath and I figured out that the flat here faces the inside of the machine, but I'm not convinced the screw is in the right way. I think it should come in from the right hand side, not the left hand side. So I'm just going to swap that over because I want the screw to tighten up on the flat here. Let's put a new needle in. Just tightening that screw there. You can hear the needle pinging there, and I'll show you why that is once we get the machine threaded. Let's do that now. I had a look online and I found a photo of the box, and it showed this thread through here, just straight through the tensioner, straight through the hole in the needle bar there. But that's just going to pop out of there. So maybe that goes under. Is it thread under? Like that. Yeah, that should work okay. And we'll just thread that needle from left to right there. That. Ah yes, see, this popped out. I wonder whether that needs to go around, maybe just take it around one loop like that, and we'll stop it from popping out there, and hopefully that's not too much tension there. That feels okay. Let's loosen that off a little bit. Okay. Let's pop a little bit of oil just on the needle bar here. Can't do it any harm. Let's try a test run here. There's the little presser foot lifter here. Pop that down. That. And let's see if we have any sewing action here. Okay. It's not jamming up, it's promising. Let's have a look. It's a chain stitcher, so it should be able to chain out. Oh, I can see it chaining there. I'll get you in for a closer look at that. Is it going to carry on chaining? Let's have a look. Well, yeah, it's stitching, that's on the bottom there, a little chain. And that's on top. Sorry, not much contrast there with the thread colour, but it is stitching. I might put a different colour thread on there, so we can see that a bit easier. Now I've threaded in yellow there, just so that we can see that a little bit easier. I'll clamp this to the desk in a second, but I just wanted to show you how the stitch was formed as well. Let's see if we can chain here. It is chaining. If I had the chance to pull the fabric out, I'm sure it would chain out. It's just that I'm using my other hand to clamp the machine down. Should be able to just trim that off there. There's a better view. There's the top there. And there's the bottom chain there. So yep, it's working well. But what I wanted to do is show you how that chain is formed, so we get a look in the side here. See if we can see what's going on there. Okay, just trying to get the machine on an angle where I can get the focus in and the light in there. But you can actually see that the little looper here, this little that little bar there, it's coming up and it's coming forward towards the operator, and it's picked up the loop there. Okay, and then you would have noticed that the needle flicked off the top of the looper there. I'll show you in another stitch, but then the needle comes back down the other side of that looper, down the back side, picks up the loop, the looper withdraws, and you would have noticed that it flicked off the needle there. It's come through again, so loopers come right back, needle's rising there, the loop's forming, and the looper comes through, right, picks up the loop, and just watch the needle point there. It'll flick off the top of that looper. Just there. And that causes the needle to come back down on the back side of the looper there, hence forming the chain. And that's why you can hear and you can see the needle ping off the top of that looper. You can also see the feed dogs doing their thing as well. The underside of the feed dogs is here. That's that this plate here. You'll see that moving. It's feeding the fabric. Feed dogs come down, move towards the operator, come back up again, and feed again. So yeah, pretty nifty little design actually. Works really well. Okay, so let's clamp it to the desk and do a little bit of sewing here. Right, here we go. See if I can get it to chain out. Yep. Oh, it's starting to let go of the chain there now. I'll just trim that off because it's unraveling. You can see how the chain stitch can unravel here. So there we go, not bad. And you can unravel the chain just by pulling this thread here. Like that. You can see from the back end here. Just like that. And in fact there's some machines, some grown-up machines actually have a chain stitch feature, like the Singer 700 series have a chain stitch feature. Really handy for basting. So, you know, you even needed to do any basting, you could just use this. It's perfect. Albeit a little bit slow. You may actually be able to see the needle pinging off the looper as it comes up. Just hear that little tick there. Just there. You might actually be able to see the needle bending as well. So it's flexed out to the left there, and you see it just ping back there, and as it comes out of the fabric it straightens up. That's just because the needle's flexing on the looper there. As the looper sort of bends it out of the way, just slightly. It's chaining out there. That's just stopped. There's the little chain coming out the back there. Yeah, you can see the chain here. Pretty neat. Now, one thing I'm really curious about is, will the machine sew in either direction? And what I mean by that is if the hand wheel's turned in either direction. So we know that it works when we run it in this direction here. But what about if I reverse? Yeah, so that's really interesting. And that is the very first time I've ever seen a sewing machine that you can run both directions. That's interesting. You would never ever be able to do that on a standard sewing machine, not in a million years. So if we go that way, that way, that way. Oh, yeah, never seen anything like it. Really interesting how that mechanism is designed that way. And I guess that's brilliant, isn't it? Because I mean, if you've got a child sitting down to use the machine, well, it doesn't matter what way you turn the wheel. I was talking to my customer the other day about she's the owner of the little Singer Model 20 that I had in a previous video. And she said even, you know, as a child, she never really got to grips with the machine because she said that it always jammed up. And I wonder if that's because maybe she was turning it in the wrong direction. The Model 20's got a rotary style chain stitching hook, and that would definitely mess things up if it was run in reverse, but this, no problem at all. Absolutely fantastic. The first time ever I've seen this. Let's put the little flatbed back on. We can use the flatbed. Just there. And we should be able to just hop back on there. So, yeah. There we go, all up and running there. That's a nice little chain stitch machine, the Vulcan Senior. You know, be perfectly fine for sitting a little kid down and teaching them the basics of sewing, I guess. I mean, you don't have the bobbin to worry about, you've just got a single thread. You know, it's pretty straightforward, but it's a pretty good introduction, I would say. So yeah, that's about it for this one. Thank you very much for watching, and also a nice warm welcome to our brand new patron, Angela. Thank you very much and welcome aboard. And as always, thank you to my patrons on Patreon, and we'll see you in the next one.